Okay, hello everybody. This is Mike here again. So this is my continued series of tutorials, lessons, plans for robotics, programming, and so on. So again, today I'm going to use the MicroBit by BBC. But today, this will probably have to be more than one video because I'm experimenting with how to use the MicroBit as a controller for servos for robotics. So if you've seen some of my previous videos, I have used the Maqueen Plus by DFRobot. And then they have these little DC motors that you control. So there are 3-volt DC motors. And so that's why I'm saying this is probably going to be multiple videos. Right now, I don't have actually a 3-volt motor or the little clamps. I need to connect the motors to the MicroBit. So the MicroBit, when you have it connected to a battery, and then you connect to the pins, if you can see them, 0, 1, 3, ground. I'm sorry, ground and power. So that's 3 volts. So these are the pin outs, 1, 2, 3 volts and ground. So you connect the alligator clamps to the 3 volts, the ground, and one of the signal wires, signal connections. So I need to, that'll probably be like video 2, where I get a 3-volt servo, the alligator clamps, and experiment with that way to show you how that works. But then what I've been doing a lot of research on is a lot of your robotics servos and so on are 5 volts or greater. So I'm working on how to get the MicroBit to control more higher end robotic servos. But so let me share my screen again and show you some MakeCode. So let's get back to just to basic programming. Because I don't have the alligator clamps and a 3-volt servo motor, I want to show you something cool you can do. And I'll share my screen and I'll show you. Because one of the advantages of the MicroBit and using MakeCode by Microsoft is you have a simulator. So you can do programming and simulation without actually having the MicroBit or the servos or the alligator clamps. So let me show you a basic setup for a servo. Once again, it's really simple. And as you can see here on the left, you have the servo here on the left. You got the MicroBit and the servo simulation here on the left. And this is what I was meaning by the alligator clamps. So you have an alligator clamp on pin 0, whichever one of the 3 pins, pin 0, 1, or 0, 1, or 2. So there's 3 pins. Then you have your 3 volts, the power of the servo, and your ground. So as long as you're using the 3-volt servo, it's really easy. It's if you want to use something like a 5 or 6-volt servo or greater servo for robotics applications, especially like the humanoid robots. For your driving robots, like Maqueen Plus, 3 volts for the DC motors, and 3 volts. A lot of sensors are 3 volts because of the Arduino. But if you want to do something a little more powerful, that's where working experimenting on. But just to kind of show you how to do some basic servo applications for the MicroBit is pretty easy. So once again, I've got the forever loop, which is basically looping through the code constantly. And then this servo write. So I write out a value to the servo. Basically, it's setting. So most of your servos, not your continuous rotation servos, most of your basic hobby servos, RC cars, boats, cars, planes. Most of your kind of low-end, cheap hobby servos from China are just basically 0 through 180. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just writing out to the servo through the pin 0, the servo position I want it to be at, and go to serial. Oh, I'm sorry, pin. Go to pin, and that's where you get the different. You get the pin, and you get set the pulse of the pin, so on. Right analog right to the pin, digital right to the pin. I think the digital right to the pins are the same thing. But yeah, they're all 16. There's not 16 pins here, but it allows you to use up to 16 pins like on a gamepad. This gamepad has 16 pin outs. So if you get like an expansion board, usually they have their own extensions that you have to load. But right now, we're also going to use just the 3 pin outs, 0, 1, and 2 for right now, which is right here. That's interesting. That's right only, right only, right only. There's your 0, 1, 2 pins. But it's pretty simple. So I go to the pins, grab the servo right to pin. Actually, you can do the pulse too, but we'll just use the right to pin. And then it's pretty simple. I just put it in the forever block and then set it to the value. So it starts at 0 through 180. And you can just set whatever value you want the servo to go to. Pretty simple and straightforward. Then what I did is I put a pause. And pause is just a basic block command. And that's right here. And the reason why we put the block command in there is if we didn't, it would be so fast that you wouldn't see it. There would be no pause between the turn. It almost like you couldn't see the servo horn turn. That's why I put a pause here between both writes. So on the first pin right, servo pin right, I set it to 0. And then on the second one, I set it to 180, so that you just go from 0 to 180, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Pretty simple. For just simple servo applications where you only need a 3-volt servo, this will work really well. And then you see you really don't need a servo and the MicroBit to test your code out. You can do other degrees at other angles and stuff, anything between 0 and 180. But this is the quick way to jump into programming a servo with a MicroBit, a 3-volt servo. Pretty simple. JavaScript code is probably even simpler than that. Basically just your forever function, and it's just using the pins and the pin method and just writing to the servo a value. In this sense, it's the analog. We're doing analog right now. So, and this is the pin out is P0, the analog pin out P0, and giving it the degrees, which is 0 here, and then here's just the basic wait, pause, basic pause method. And then here's the second servo right, and we're doing analog P0 again, just setting it to 180, then pause, and then just basically looping. Pretty simple JavaScript code. Pretty simple, straightforward. When I get an analog servo, then I'll try to work on doing analog. Because right now, we're just using an analog servo example. Okay, that's the first one. Show you the second one. The second one is similar, but in this one, again, so what I did with this one is I actually went out, and the first one was the basic analog. So what I did is I went out to extensions. I don't know if it's going to pop up, but I typed in servo. There's a lot of different servo or expansion boards that I've been doing some research on, trying to find one that'll actually help me. Maqueen Plus, but there is actually a servo library. Hang on. Let me show it. Let me show it to you. So that way I can, that way you'll, what was test servo test here? Let's grab extension. See, there it is right there. The micro servo library. So when you add this extension, you'll see it there. Since I've already added it, it didn't give me as an option. So that's the one I added to the code, to my code for this version 2. So in version 2, so here's the servo menu. And so this allows you to use continuous servos, and then also do the same set the servo angle. And so I grabbed the set servo angle, and this is where you get the P01, P01 and 2. You can set the angle. And with servos, you get continuous servo, and you can do the stop servo. And then you get some other servo commands to set the servo to neutral, set the servo to range from 0 to 180, and set the pulse, set the, for PWM, P012, and then you can set the pulse here. This really gives it like a little, nah, it's not going to give it a little menu. Okay. So again, this is one, kind of another basic example. So here, all I'm doing is just on the press of the button, I'm just telling it what the angle to move the servo to. So when you press A, oh, it's 0. So you're not gonna see a difference. But when you press B, it's 90 degrees. When you press both buttons at the same time, you get 180. When you press A, you get 0. Press both A and B at the same time, you get 180. Press B, you get 90, halfway in between, and so on. So this is just another way to show you. So there is servo extensions for the MicroBit. So just a little bit of experimentation for you to play around and work on this individual servo that you get. So that'll probably be video 2, where I try to get some 3-volt servos and just manipulate them and show you how to actually work with the servo. I'm just kind of showing you some basic commands that you can play around with, and they're available. Some basic extensions that are available. So this is another example I set up. A little bit different, but I got, this is for a continuous servo. So for like a wheel, if you could do a wheeled robot, sort of similar to the Maqueen. So in this one, I grabbed the continuous servo from the Servo menu, which came from the extensions, and then set the pin out to P0. You can set it to P0, 1, 2, or 3. If you, I'll show you how to kind of play around with this. So if you want to set it to different pin outs, you just change the pin out here to 1, and it should update it. Oh yeah, I'll show you that. It actually thinks there's 2 servos now, which is pretty accurate, but and it'll update it. So you can say, if you're going to do P1, you can do P1 for all of them. There we go. That's updating. And because it thinks there's only 1 servo, then you don't have the additional servo there. So, so here all I'm doing is telling it the rotation speed. And the cool thing is, so when I press A, it basically turns clockwise. And that's a positive percentage, go clockwise. Now, if I press B, you can actually give it a negative number, which makes it move counterclockwise. And this is percentage speed, so basically 0 through 100 is the speed of the servo. 50, so a positive number is clockwise on a continuous servo. A negative number is counterclockwise. And then if you want to stop the servo, basically just give it a 0 speed. Now, on these servos, there is a stop servo command, but there may be a bug in the simulation program. So I'll show you what happens. This could be just a bug. I'll have to test this out on a real servo. So there's it moving, and then when you press AB, nothing happens. So I don't know if there's that bug in a simulation program or not. We'll find out here as soon as I get a 3-volt servo and some alligator clamps. Oh, wait. I did that wrong, didn't I? Let's try that again. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. It's got to be something to do with that stop servo command in the simulation program. Doesn't like. Oh yeah, cool. Another simple, easy to use programming. Just use you're programming the on input of A, B, and AB. If you see this in the past, that stuff is in the inputs, and just basic MicroBit commands on the button press. Just grab that, and you can select A or B or both at the same time. Very simple. And the continuous servo commands these are from the servo extensions that you've got to get. And then you grab the continuous servo, just continuous stop servo stuff, positional configurations. Those are the servo extensions. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, basic servo commands with 3-volt servo connected directly to the MicroBit. And I think my last example, I'm just doing some experimentation. So it looks like there's a couple different expansion boards you can get. And those will be the ones that I try to get by and use with some more high-end servos. Looking at maybe a 6-volt servo to give me a little bit more holding torque and so on. That would probably be maybe video 3 in the series, how to control servos using an expansion board. And I think these are just some of the libraries I downloaded to give me a little better control. So it looks like it's possible to control a little more higher end servos. Might be able to use other ways other than the PWM to control them, and use digital analog and both digital and analog servos. And you get this, so we'll have to do some more experimenting with that in the future. So it's just this is just a quick introduction to how to use basic 3-volt servos with Maqueen Plus, not Maqueen Plus, the MicroBit by BBC. And very cool. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, comments, I'll try to answer them, put them in the description of this video. And then like I said, probably video 2 will be on actually showing you a servo with the alligator clamps connected to the MicroBit. And then probably video 3 will be an expansion board with a higher end 6-volt servo. So really cool. So once again, thanks for watching. Bye. I hope to see you in the next video. I'm going to say bye.